Previously on Elsewhere. Joan met Lalasia and Wade. They both arrived at the island on the same day, under different circumstances. When she heard their stories, she could not wait to add them to her crew of people who are now becoming really good friends of hers. They all get along and they enjoy each other's company, regardless of how inappropriate some might be. Back at the mansion, Joan and crew are just basking in the sun and enjoying the beautiful island weather. Diana and Wade compete to find out who can float the longest before giving in and getting out of the pool. The last time Diana won, floating for 2 hours and 26 minutes. She knew there was a lot to do today, so she let Wade win this one. Joan and Lalasia were getting better acquainted with one another and discussing the plans for today, since today will be the first day the mansion will be open to the public. Wade tries to impress Diana with his fishing stories, and it seems to be working. She laughs at all his jokes, and they're always poking fun at each other in such a flirty way. It is now noon and Joan opens the house. They all sit back and see if they get anyone coming in. Someone comes into the house, and in the usual Simlish fashion, they just walk in with no acknowledgement of anyone else in the room and just explore the house. Joan tries to catch up to offer a tour, but the elevator is hung up on the second floor. Edward Contrary, a Sim from Joan's hometown, came to check out the island. He seems to hate La Cucaracha song and came in grumbling about it. Now that the Wanderer is back, Joan talks about the cameras and the cell phones that are for sale at the mansion. Joan heads to the kitchen to prepare lunch for everyone. Edward Contrary lives up to his name by being as grumpy as possible about Wade's piano playing. Wade took the hint and stopped playing to save Edward from his apparent ear bleeding. What a drama queen. Joan got a little anxious and emotional in the kitchen as memories of a simpler time flashed through her head. She snaps out of it. It's showtime after all, and she has to keep people engaged about the island. Before closing, she rings up the last of the customers. Edward Contrary is standing in line having non-fantasies about Lalasia. Poor girl, I wonder why he thinks she's homely. John Mole is another person from Desiderata Valley, where Joan is originally from. Lalasia tries to help John, but he's not interested. Joan closes the mansion at 5 and calls her sister Trinity, who she has not spoken with for a few months now. Trinity's life has not been easy. Living at the Newfoundlander home where they grew up is so emotional for her. She cries and writes in her journal every day before work. Her grief therapist said it would be very therapeutic to do this. She's not sure if it's working, but she has noticed a lot less crying as the days progress. After a hard day's work, Trinity likes to work on the crossword puzzle because it makes her feel like a genius. Now we're at Joan's phone call to Trinity. Joan invites her to the island so Trinity can meet Joan's new friends. Joan secretly hopes that Trinity would sell the house and come to the island with her, but Trinity doesn't want to. Trinity can't bear to part with the house she grew up in. Trinity says she'd love to and will be there after freshening up. Joan tells her about all the fun stuff Trinity can do at the mansion, doubling Trinity's excitement. Trinity needed to get away for a little bit anyway. Joan took her time setting up and made sure that everything was perfect for when her sister arrived. She has missed her so much, but promises herself not to crowd her and keep her all to herself. She's going to try to play it cool. She turns on Trinity's favorite music, and it seems to have called her in because here she is, my most adorable sister, she thought to herself as she greeted her. Joan tells Trinity to make herself at home. Trinity starts off with her awkward dancing skills. Just look at her, keeping up with the tempo of the music. Diana comes over and introduces herself and shares some self-deprecating humor. And proceeds to join Trinity's trend of horrible dancing. And of course, wherever Diana is, you will find Wade. Here he comes to triple the efforts in awful dancing. All that dancing made Diana hungry, so she grabs a plate and Wade moves along to stare at her awkwardly from a distance. Finding herself dancing alone, Trinity decided to join Diana at the table. Diana asked Trinity lots of questions about Joan as they enjoyed their meal. Trinity, Wade, and Diana decided to do some gambling and play some cards. And after a little while, Edward Contrary emerges. Where has he been all this time? Trinity has been cleaning house all night, taking people's money on the card table, and Diana is now tapped out. Diana thanked Trinity for making her broke and left the card table, but not without some stinky air on the way out. Lalasia took Diana's place and immediately regretted the smell she just walked into. Joan decided to rest up and watch her sister get along so great with her friends. Joan smiled inside. Trinity remembered she has work the next morning and had to leave in a hurry. Edward left right after her, and just like that, the party was over. Joan decided to join Wade and Lalasia for a couple of hands before she starts the post-party cleanup. Joan was so happy to see her sister and so relieved that she liked her friends. It was getting late, so everyone started to head to bed. Diana, of course, had to read one more chapter before turning in herself. Personally, I think she wanted to see Wade one last time before he went to bed, but that's just me. Trinity made it home faster than she thought, since it was late at night and there was no rush hour traffic like there was when she was driving to Joan's place. Trinity's friends were waiting for her to get back home so they could hear about her time at the mansion. Trinity greeted them and brought them inside for some food, chat, and music. After some after-dinner awkward dancing, Trinity said goodbye to her friends and went to bed. She went to her old bed because she couldn't bear to sleep in her parents' bed. Well, guys, that's tonight's episode. In the next episode, Joan's friends will be moving out, starting their own lives and stories. Joan will have some empty rooms to fill. Let's find out what kinds of characters will stay at the mansion, and from there, which ones will stay on the island and live there. The question of the day is, when will Trinity join Joan on the island? Something to think about. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Have a good night, everybody.